Boom! Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another stream hour with yours truly, CM Kozeman. If you are watching on the replay, good day and good evening to you too. Once again, YouTube's second biggest Turkish creator after Hasan abi. Hello, everybody. How is it going? It's a freezing night. So cold. I have to get this blanket on my back, this hoodie just to look cool and shit. All right. Parrot Yogi says hello. Swaf says hello. Good evening. Grunwalder, my good friend, says hello. Life feels like such a beautiful waste of time when Daddy Kozemen streams, says H. Zeynep. I hope you're not wasting your life as we speak. Katie Say says hello, Bugs Bunny team. Sambi Crew says hello. Kelpie, Yamru, Aterna, Baby Botfly, Ege Phoenix, Krana says hello, Kozman. Tree Short Whisper says hello. And what's up, gang? Well, as you probably know, a lot has been up. Another batch of the infamous Epstein documents has been released at the time of recording, which is the 1st of February. Now, it's not my habit in this channel to talk about the relevant thing and talk about politics, but this is really pertinent for two reasons. One, I think it shows basically one elite in the United States trying to sideline or disenfranchise another. And it looks like the 1990s liberal era sort of Judeo-Christian consensus elite have overstepped their mark and responsibilities. And once again, another elite, sort of like J.D. Vance, Pam Bondi adjacent, like overlooked white trash on the rise kind of elite, is trying to elbow them out. And this is just a sad artifact of one of those changes. Remember, the United States is a world empire. And throughout history, different groups have usurped the position of power there. And it's just a similar change in dynasties. As a descendant of the Judaic peoples, I also feel sad that this Epstein shit and the ethnic cleansing in Gaza, they have painted Jewish people into a corner from where they may not emerge untarnished. Good thing my ancestors converted to the final religion and assumed a Turkish identity generations ago. Ünsal Salioğlu says, from this cold Istanbul night, hello, Abi, have a great podcast. The Dan McAleer says, hello. User GZF is being cocky. What should we do as non-English speakers? You can learn English, or if you keep spamming, I will ruthlessly block you. You are on your final reprimand. I think all the world is able to differentiate between Zionism and being Jewish, not as much as you think. But yeah, that distinction should have been made. Krana says, the Turkish spammer probably didn't get your... Anyways, look, I had a good day. The world is eventful as always. But I had a good day. I actually had a good week. Last week, I was in the Turkish capital of Ankara, where I attended a brilliant gathering of, well, science fiction and literature enthusiasts. I spoke to them about All Tomorrows. I met a lot of fans I didn't even know I had. And I got lots of gifts. Somebody in this event, which was called Etucon, and it was hosted by a university called Tob University, gifted me this drawing of me with an asteromorph. But this person, in his or her absent-mindedness, forgot to sign it. So there's a date, but no name. They also burned the edges in a strange, quasi-romantic way, which, okay. But yeah, this is a good, great artwork. Dead ringer, isn't it? Look at this. Huh. Okay, let's position it. Yeah, dead ringer. I really hate this floppy ear. I was born with one ear more floppy than the other. So this is the flop ear. This is the non-flop ear. I look more handsome from this side with a bit of a like lantern jaw. This side, my neck looks thin, my ear is protruding, and I have a dome. But this side is the business side. Flowzone says the Dönme were connected to Nathan of Gaza, weren't they? Yes, they were. It comes full circle. The Dönme are a wild bunch. I should talk to you about them sometime. And 46 people watching. Okay, what else did I do? In Ankara, I went to one of my favorite bookshops. If you've been a follower of this channel, you would know that I think a couple of streams ago, I was talking about Erich von Däniken and his nice books. Well, his books nice in a way that's like a vaccine against bullshit. So I went and bought 2 of his books in the English language. In the upcoming weeks and months, I'm going to give this a read and, well, critically evaluate it. I read Erich von Däniken, so you don't have to. Chariots of the Gods and Return to the Stars, the good old Corgi editions from the 1970s. This is from 1973. This, Chariots of the Gods, was from 1972, and it belonged to somebody named Nadia Atesh. I hope this person is alive now, and all my best. This one also belonged to somebody named Mehmet Özsoy. In the 1970s, people took care of their books and wrote their names on them. So now they belong to yours truly. So here we go. We stamp this. We stamp that too. So I've got my name on it now. And I need to also write when I got these. Acquired January 2026. And after me, who knows? I don't think after I bite the dust, the upcoming generation may not even know how to fucking read. So that's that. The buck stops here. Baby Boatfly says, how is Mama Mantis? Unfortunately, Mantis died late last night from 2 self-inflicted gunshot wounds to the head. No, unfortunately, she passed away due to natural causes. I am still drying her. Acquired 2026. I'm still drying her here. There she is, like an angel reincarnated. The way she died, her eyes turned black, which makes it look like a gray alien. Cauliflower says, Mekanı cennet olsun, which is a really cool Turkish way to say, may she reside in paradise. So I'm going to frame her this way. So I'll always be able to look at her. This, by the way, is not the first mantis. There was another. And she also resides in my library. 8 years ago, I had another mantis found in December 2017 and died in January 2018. She's still part of my library. What beauty. So now that mantis is going to join this one, and yeah, it's kind of macabre, but it's life. And it's a nice thing to do. I mean, rather than burying it or throwing it away, I guess. All right. Okay, more on dead animals. I also have a dead lizard, which was gifted to me in a university conference this year, but I'm going to frame this too, but this didn't die on my watch. It was found dead. And look, funny enough, one of the things I hate the most is this quirky hipster aesthetic. So these hipsters, sometimes there are these things where like they put these bats in a frame and like sell them as decoration. Shit like this, not a hipster thing, but like a Midwest goth kind of thing, which I strongly despise. So they do this. They do this like, oh, bats. I'm so creepy. So yeah, I don't like this. I think it's animal abuse and exploitation. If these people had maybe kept these bats and they died under their watch, but no, they just like, what happens is in Mexico or Russia or something, they go to a cave, light a fire, thousands of bats die, they dry them and sell them to developing countries as curios, which is disgusting. And yeah, I don't like that at all. How can people do this to their fellow creatures? Well, you've seen this week what people do to their fellow humans, huh? Rip Rango. Cranby Cruz asking a lot of maths questions. Look, you're a long-time member of this chat, but please, come on, don't spam. I have a lot of dead stuff in my room, says Cauliflower, but I didn't kill any of them. Well, you get a pass because you really are. I know you individually too. You're a good friend. You wouldn't do this. Fountain pen. Yes, I do have a fountain pen. In fact, tonight, got lots of pens and shit. Other books I acquired in Ankara and around. I have this book, which is a sequel to The Relic, in which a virus growing on a strange plant from the Amazon rearranges the genes of people who eat that plant. So there are monsters like this. It's a schlocky kind of creature feature thriller. I read the first book, The Relic, 25 years ago or something. And there's actually a movie too called The Relic. And it's cool. So this is going to be light reading. I then have the biography of the famous British actor and intellectual Peter Ustinov. This is a nice ramble of a book. I have the memoirs of David Attenborough, which should be interesting. I also got at a cutthroat price the biography of Edward Wilson, who was one of the biggest ant researchers of this century. I like this book because it's not just the science, but it's about his life and his childhood and everything. So that's good. Plus, there's a Turkish biography of Taha Toros. This, I must say, I found at a cafe where it was used as a decoration and just happened to relocate it altruistically. Taha Toros is a very famous Turkish folklorist and author and intellectual, and I love like obscure biographies like this. David Attenborough, everybody knows, but obscure local figures. And then that's that. Okay. I hope you're all doing well. A lot of conversation. People are talking about how they tormented insects as a kid. Cauliflower even had a whale skull. Okay. Even mouse has ammonites. People are confessing. Yes, it's a confess hole. Baby Boatfly says, this is a good one. I'm thinking about joining the Quakers in these troubling times. The Quakers are the best furniture makers in North America and probably the world. If you look up Quaker furniture, it's extremely modern looking, sleek, but also functional and timeless. Oh, my apologies. It's Shaker furniture, not Quaker furniture. Sorry, it's a whole other denomination. So Shakers are different from Quakers. So I just confused things. Sorry. They're more closely adjacent to the Amish. But Amish furniture is literally the best furniture on the planet. I mean, I'm going to show you now. You would expect them to be like traditional, but no, actually, it's the most modern and resilient thing ever. Like, this is Amish furniture. It's almost like it's out of the 1930s, like Le Corbusier or Art Deco and all that. It's very inventive, very functional, very solid. They know how to build. They also know how to live, to be honest. Like, I really respect that. Look, this day and age, everything seems a bit shitty because you can do everything, so you can get lost. Many people need someone or something to tell them what to do and how to do it. So I think, as like an off the cuff advice, don't join right away, but hang out with them for maybe a couple of months and like build real relationships, and then maybe officially you can join them. And look, it's counterintuitive, but slightly religious people sometimes really have a lot of things sorted out with life. The Shakers are nearly extinct. They are unique. They had a female prophet. Yeah, one of the very unusual religious revivals which took place in the United States. Jerry Caleb says, there are Amish or Mennonites around where I grew up. Always you see them at the grocery store. Say hi. Please, next time you see one of them, ask if they have heard of All Tomorrows. The Amish, as far as I know, don't let other people join that easily, but Quakers are a bit more open. Your average goober says All Tomorrows is fantastic. Thank you. 20 minutes in, what do you know about Amish having immunity to allergies? I have heard this, but is it real? It could be from a robust childhood. They spend their time outside a lot. The kids, they're exposed to allergens and pathogens at an early age, so they have a strong immune system. I know that's been kind of spun as saying like, oh, they don't eat the slop that everybody else eats, but I don't know. Hilal says, hello, Mr. Kozman. I have two print books inspired by mythology. I'm awaiting the Turkish edition of All Tomorrows. Could I send you my Behance account? You are amazing. 5 different things in one comment. You can send me your Behance account, but what are your books? And well, I'm happy to know you too, and I'm proud that my work has inspired you. Hammurabi says, do you have any weird religious groups in Turkey? Oh, brother. Well, look, this part of the world, religion has always been the chief arbiter of politics. So whenever you want to do something politically, as a rule, it was done under the guise of a religious sect. And this led to no end of fuckery. I mean, until like 10 years ago, we had a military coup inspired by a rhizomic CIA planted Muslim sect, which tried to take over everything. But then they were purged. Rightfully. Are you? Yes. Yes, I am very yes. I've never been more yes ever. I've never been a no. So yes. Lucas Evangard, long time subscriber, says hello, Mr. Kozaman. Thank you. Okay, well, look, I'm gonna get the condiments and snacks and the food and shit for the night, okay? So why don't you all make yourselves comfortable, and I'm gonna show you what I drew today. Finally, today I had some time for my own projects. So I drew 2 creatures from the world of Snaiad. I drew something that looks like a hermaphroditic sand boa. And I also drew one of the weird fish that lived in this world. So this is the fish. It's an arthrognat. The true mouth is here. Okay, this thing. The first limbs work like jaws. Then they have 4 sets of fleshy fins. This is the last fin is a bit small in all cases. And they have insect-like eyes. So this is the arthrognat fish. Plus, I drew the sand boa creature, which you can see here. It's a hermaphrodite. As you know, with Snaiad, this is the head that eats, and this is the head that breeds. So the eyes are here. The mouth is actually a genital. If you're a female, the genital is in your, well, right cheek. If you're a male, the genital is in your left cheek. So that's how you do. And this thing like hides under the sand, and it lives like a sand boa, like an anaconda. Okay. So you're going to look at these, okay, while daddy goes and makes himself some dinner. I'll be right back. Please ask me questions while you wait, but please do not ask about all tomorrows, because yes, that's just a book which is happening, but ask me questions about life, about contemporary events, even personal questions if you want, and I'm happier answering those than I am answering anything else. Okay, I'll be right back with snacks. How are you? Yes. Something seems to. Oh no. One of our friends, Ege Phoenix, says I'm being bullied for my entire school life. A lot of questions and comments, 54 people watching. Okay. Stay tuned. I'm so hungry, I'm actually making myself some instant noodles. Why don't you look at this creature now? And please list your questions or important things you want to share, life advice. I'm pretty good at giving it. I don't know how much if it helps. But yeah, I'll be right back, okay? 3 more minutes. 3 more minutes. Blah. Abracadabra, ooby ba ba, zoomy mama. Abracadabra, ooby ba ba. She said, "That's all out tonight." Okay, thanks for your patience. I am back. Ay, ay, ay, ay. I hope you're all doing well. There's no naughty business. Okay. Let's see if I can arrange the table without a major disaster. All right. Welcome back, everybody, and thanks for waiting. Xter Real Gaming says Moseman, heart, emo. Okay, lots of comments. Okay, well, let me introduce you to my food. I think a lot of streamers eat away from the camera, but I think it's one of the neatest things in the world, sharing your food with some people. It makes it even more parasocial. So I got instant noodles with very expensive pork pancetta. And if you're not eating pork, you're really missing out. We have instant coffee, okay, right here. I'll need something to put below it. Oh, wait. Okay, we got our instant coffee here. Boom. We got our nightly assortment of chocolates. We got our soda. Mineral water. And we got our cucumber batch. Look at them. They're all cool and salty. Damn fantastic. God damn. Okay. Let's get the show on the road. Thanks for your patience, everybody. Do you want to watch me or watch the food as I eat it? Okay. Lots of comments. Hammurabi says, you slumber a cucumber. I spend my last money on your book, says Guitar Map, thank you. Ünsal says, bon appetit. Sigma Meal says, Ege. Hilal says, Beypazarı, because of sophisticated Turkish boycotting rules. Jerry Caleb says, ramen noodles plus smoked oysters. Yeah, similar kind of pairing. Typical college student lunch. I am so broke, says Tapping Master. Well, I hope it changes. We are all struggling. KTC says, Kosemen mukbang. Maybe. Okay, Howdy Fan says, Avantgarde. If you could experience life as a rank and file soldier of any war, what would you choose? Says Hammurabi. That's a very good question. I would probably never be a traitor, so I would never fight against the armies of the Turkish Republic. I would never also want to be on a side that would enact ethnic cleansing. Look, I'll play it safe. American soldier in the first Gulf War. I would just masturbate, probably never see action. Mission complete. Like the least amount of trauma. Maybe a British soldier during the Falklands conflict too, but actually that thing was brutal. I don't know, man. Like, look, war is not something you can even choose. I would want to be a soldier in the army of Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, to be honest. That's what I think. Yes. That's a nice phrase, if you want to conclude your thoughts without running around, you just say, that's what I think. And actually, it comes from an infamous source. It comes from the ignoble character known as Asmongold. He has this thing where says, what do I think? I think people should be shot in the face. That's what I think. Yeah, boys. And yeah. But, even a broken clock is right sometimes. So that's what I think. Yeah, roll it back. I would be an army during the war of Turkish liberation after the First World War. I would fare really poorly, though. What kind of meal is this, Abi? It's the magic kind of meal. Okay, many questions. I wasn't prepared for this, so Hammurabi is asking all the great questions. Eleanor Davis, hello. I recognize the song, but not the name. You are probably talking about Abracadabra, booby, ba ba ba, goo goo la la la, ele la la la la. It's Lady Gaga, one of my shameless favorite artists. I love her work so much. Yeah. What do you think the worst tragic crime man has ever committed against nature on the face of the earth? It would probably have to be the death of the mammoths. Really, really smart creatures lived in families, and we like genocided them all. It's like, remember the Avatar films and the whales, how it made everybody cry. They killed the mother whale and the baby whale is crying. So that happened infinite times with mammoths, and we just wiped them all out. Didn't even have to do it, to be honest. Like, I'm so much for this curse or the myth of the noble savage. In fact, something like Avatar's Pandora is the only setting where the noble savage can work, because they're physically connected to the ecosystem. They have their kurus, the tails, and they plug in with the USB. You got the string. They plug in and actually talk with Mother Nature, and the giant superorganism on their planet probably maintains a kind of homeostasis. But yeah, on Earth, the noble savage never existed. Human beings were always a genocidal curse wherever they went to other species. And that's just the way things are. I mean, big extinctions in Europe, Asia, Madagascar, the Americas, Australia, Indo-Pacific, as humans spread like a wildfire. So yeah. Even Mouse says, I'm doing some concept art for an animated film set during the Carboniferous because my mate wanted a film set. Okay, well, best of luck. Baby Boat Flies says, where's the comment? Did you see the new Avatar? I saw it twice. Once with Grunwalder, who's in this crowd tonight. Flowzone says, are you a Kemalist to the bone, or what do you think about the legacy of Atatürk? Look, this epithet of Kemalism that gets attached to Atatürk's name, it's like calling somebody who breathes an oxygenist. The name was a derogatory epithet, first used by the Gülen cult, as they wanted to discredit Turkey's secular state during the 1990s. So, look, of course, Atatürk was an autocratic ruler, but you can't really evaluate him or his actions according to some 20th century, late 20th century liberal model. It was either that or get thrown to the wind, like the Balkan countries or Syria or the Middle East. They would have carved up Anatolia, like the way they did later with Yugoslavia. So whenever you are a non-Turkish person and you hear somebody talking about Kemalists or what they did, that person may not have not even the best interest of Turkey, the best interest of people living in Anatolia in mind. So the answer of your question is ne mutlu Türk'üm diyene. You can make an edit of this if you want. Okay, lot of questions. Wait. What is a perfect day? Asks Eleanor Davis. It's one where people I love, my family, people close to me are having a good day. That's number one. It's also one where I get to maybe travel to a new place for the first time. You get this like excitement, childlike excitement. And I think that's that. But in every day and each day, there's always something in the background that's troubling you and something in the background that's giving you hope. And it just goes that way. I think like the genuine perfect days, if you're lucky as a child, maybe, summer holiday when I was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, none of our extended family had died. I think those are perfect days. I didn't know about how fucked up the world was. Just wake up. There's no internet. That's also a perfect detail. There's no internet. I did have a computer though. Wake up, look at dinosaur books, eat breakfast. We had a big garden. I would go out, play in the garden with my brother, then just play in the garden in the summer with my shorts, barefoot until lunchtime, then have lunch, maybe nap, read some more books, go out again, play with my friends. Then in the evening, the computer was always like an evening time thing for me. Play SimCity or Elfish, those games. I think those were perfect days. That's what I think, base. Yeah. How serious is Turkish culture about the whole no pork, no boosting? Well, Turkish people are like Jewish people with another name. They drink a lot. In fact, like even if somebody is like an Islamist, he or she might be seen drinking. Sometimes they get around this by saying, I don't drink wine. That's the Christian thing. And you, even in like, okay, it's different in every city, but in Istanbul or Ankara, if you go to a pub, you may even see like a girl with a hijab sipping beer. So there is that. Pork is like a bigger no-no. Like many, even secular people hate it sometimes. I don't know why. I think it's great. I'm eating some pork now. Mm. It's healthy, cheap, salty, creamy, dreamy. Mm. They say, oh, it smells bad. Or they say, oh, you could get trichinosis. Oh, get the fuck out of here. Look, I'm never going to show a pork sausage into anybody's orifice, but I love it. So there's that. People are talking about the fish. Do you think the perfect day can be planned for? Probably not. Hammurabi is asking all the great questions. I'm trying to. I wonder if I can like give you an award or some shit with this top chat thing, but yeah. I'm actually gonna pin your comment because I really liked it. So yeah. You can never plan the perfect day. Some people take it too far, especially in the States or in Europe. Some people like plan their minutes. And that always struck me as like psychiatrically insane. Like the world is better off without that kind of thinking. Okay, lots of more comments. Baby Boatfly says pork sausage mentioned and hangs up the British flags. Rule Britannia. Britannia rule the waves. Britons never, ever, ever, ever shall be slaves. Da, da, da, da. Chug a keg but won't eat a pork at all, says Robotipi. Yes, that's the Turkish thing. In fact, I'm the other way. I'm really bad with alcohol. In the previous stream, if you're watching it, go and watch it. I had like half a can of beer. Fucked me up. I would rather have all alcohol banned all over the world. I could live with that. But pork, probably not. Flowzone says, no offense intended, but Atatürk's political movement needs a name. Would you call it Atatürkçülük or the Six Arrows movement? I think Atatürk was a very pragmatic leader. And if he lived for 10, 20 more years, his principles may have changed too. But he acted with the principle, which I think is very commendable, that first, the lands of the Turkish Republic should be independent and free from interference from any power. He really wanted the Turkish people to stand up on their own 2 feet, which I think is commendable. And he, I think, sought to uplift Turkish people, like to have dignity and to measure up with the rest of the world. And you would see very few examples of leaders in world history using their personality cult to implement those sorts of decisions. So he gave the woman the right to vote, which I think was like years ahead of his time. He changed the alphabet and aligned Turkey closer to the Western world. He really tried to set up institutions in Turkey that would make it independent from European or American or Russian privileges. So I think that is commendable. Anyways, look, let's not dig too deep into this, but what do you think of Frieren anime, says Valhalla? I have never watched it. I don't know. Hammurabi says, if they sold gorilla meat in the grocery store, would you buy any? Probably not. In fact, I'm really skeptical of technological futurism, but I'm really rooting for lab-grown meat. I think the meat farming industry is a horrible catalog of crimes that would make all tomorrows look like a fairy tale. Like, I'm eating pork, but yeah, the factory farming is awful. I know my goat, Kozemen, is not in the files. Marcus Armantro, would you ever go hunting? Yes, I actually have a New York State bow hunting license from back when I was in college. So I can like hunt an animal with a bow and an arrow. I would actually. I think it's way more ethical than getting stuff from a supermarket. I would also like love to go roadkill shopping, which is a really gross but really practical thing. You drive around a road in the United States in the rural places. If you see a roadkill deer, you just pick it up and then dress the meat and eat that. Yeah, pop that in the freezer. Blake says, I hunt to get most of my meat based. Also, one of the gorgeous things that American people can do more often than other people from elsewhere in the world. But I wouldn't hunt exotic. I wouldn't like shoot an eland or something. I would hunt only animals which I knew I would eat. Nice discussion about Atatürk's reforms and the alphabet switch. Do you ever read DNA Ancient Myth and feel it express some incomprehensibly deep insight? I don't know about DNA Ancient Myth. Is it a book? I don't think DNA can give us like memories like it does in that computer game, Assassin's Creed. Some instincts are genetic, but so Hammurabi corrects. He says, "Did you ever read an ancient myth and feel it in your veins?" Well, not genetically, but some myths are really like resonating. Gilgamesh, for example. I mean, you read it and say, there's a story that has survived thousands of years of memetic selection because it just hits right. Shai Shilinum Tefao says, have you ever listened to The Dark Side of the Moon by Pink Floyd? Now that's for the plebeians. You're a proper Pink Floyd person. You listen to Umma Gumma, which is the most incredible album ever. Na, na, na, na, na. I think it's the one that has set the controls for the heart of the sun. This one. Umma Gumma remastered. Go get this. I think the later Pink Floyd songs, they're a bit too self-conscious. They're not bad, but like in a world where this exists, they don't even register. Oh. I do love one song from their later albums that's called Learning to Fly. My grandfather was a big Pink Floyd fan. God rest his soul. Oh. I hope this feels parasocial, like you're eating with me and hanging out and not like I'm slobbering all over the camera. I'm going to check some messages. Just a second. What do you think of Anatolian psychedelic rock like Erkin Koray, Moğollar? I love that whole selection of music. I don't know as much as that genre and time of music as I should, but basically during the 1960s and the 70s, Turkish artists inspired by, well, psychedelic Western music created their own very unique and beautiful genre of music, which is really valued these days. Even Mouse says, wait, actually, so if you're interested in Anatolian rock, you should look at this page on YouTube. I'm not going to play anything. It's called the Anatolian Rock Revival Project. And it's a nice place to start because they get all the obscure but really cool songs from back when and readapt them. And for example, here's a song called Hereke by the Cahit Oben Quartet. So you can later search this group and find a lot of other things. They have these like also psychedelic artwork on as covers, which is fine, I guess, but it's too graffiti style. But anyways, this is a great channel, so go subscribe. I only listen to Hayko Cepkin from Anatolian Rock. Turkish music is actually generally really good. What is your opinion on the YouTuber Faria Faraji? I subscribe to his channel. I think he's great. He tries to recreate traditional melodies, and I love his work. If there's any drama behind him, I don't know, but I like and respect his work a lot. Okay. Hammurabi says, would you classify language as a sort of technology? Yes, I think it is the only transhumanist technology out there. Because like writing and language, it may have created the only change in our genotype and our brain architecture. Being able to store information, retrieve it, that's like you can go to 15 million galaxies, it's still a drop of piss compared to the massive revolution that was ushered in by the invention of language and the invention of writing. Because like everything, mathematics, science, philosophy, war, bureaucracy, government, empires, everything is downstream from writing. Computer coding, AI, yeah. Mm. Oh. Mm. Mm. If language is technology, it means the singularity happened 80,000 years ago. True, very, very true. Are you into discussion the evolution of language? I by reading authors such as Chomsky, Everett Conrad, and such, Corland and such. Unfortunately, I don't know much about any of those language theorists. All I have are these like intuitive understandings of what happened, and that's that. What's your favorite obscure language? Maybe some of the weird southern Turkish language. Like there's all these like languages like Pisidian and Lycian. So Pisidia was spoken around today's Sparta. And basically there are inscriptions from, let's look at the page. Wait. So this is an Anatolian language maybe related to Luwian or Lydian, an Indo-European language, and it was spoken in this era, just this little area near the Isparta Lake. Just a tiny place. Probably it had a bigger range, but this is where we know the inscriptions from. And it says Dotari Mozitos is Dotarios Dotari Enie. So here lies Dotari, son of Mozeto. It's like, it sounds like that bit in that Prometheus movie where the android tries to speak with the alien guy and talks in Indo-European. Black screen. Okay, you can't see it. Oh shit. Well, let's wait until it loads. Now you can. Okay. Dotari Mozetos Eye Dotaris Dotari Enis. It's Dotari also might mean daughter too. So it's like there are a lot of these small extinct Anatolian languages that I love. Here's another one, Sidetic. I think this has more inscriptions, but sorry, I don't know much about this language. I'm just showing you the Wikipedia page. So Sidetic, Pisidian, Lycian, Carian, these were like strange languages that lived and then were later taken over by Hellenic languages. Near Antalya and Fethiye, this one, Lycian, of course, the whole region is called Lycia. Here's like, it sounds very cool. Ebenne prnavu men prnavate hanandaza hrippi ladi epi setideime. And it means Hanadaza built this building for his wife and sons. With all the purring letters. It sounds very cool. But I think all languages are cool, huh? I think, for example, the Arabic language is a really cool one. And there's like a universe of difference between the kind of Arabic that is spoken in the streets and the legacy Arabic, that the higher Arabic that, well, was used to be spoken. Oh, Mr. Kozeman, do you like going into random pages on Wikipedia and read them? Yes. In fact, when I was younger, this was done by pulling an encyclopedia and flipping open a random page, and you always learned a lot. Master Spy says, do you use Kivix? It's an offline browser. No. Marcus Armantro says, have you ever read Barlow's Guide to Extraterrestrials? Yes, it's one of my most prized possessions. I love it. I have that book. It changed my life. It's one of the books that changed my life. Master Spy recommends that I use the Kivix browser a lot. Okay. Arabic could be classified as different languages. Yes, Lucas Evangard. Jerry Caleb says, England had its own version of Latin, as cool as the runes my ancestors were writing in the ABCs before that. If you share more information about this, I'd love to give it a look. England's history is amazing too. I mean, like different waves of invasions, different past legacies, before Rome, with Rome, then Christianity disappears, then reappears. England is like proper country, proper history. And there must be like obscure lost languages in England too. Let's see, look at Caleb says, look up English Latin in Wikipedia. Okay. If I type English Latin, I go to a Latin translator. I have to put it in brackets. Sorry. Bıyıklı tavşan says, hop Bugs Bunny. Flowzone says, Pictish is very mysterious. British Latin, sorry. Okay, let's look that up. Vulgar Latin. Okay, so it was like the riff-raff Latin that was spoken in Great Britain. But that's the weird thing with languages. Like you got the riff-raff language, literally like yo, skibidirism and stuff like that. Then centuries later, it becomes a high language of its own and acquires these weird characteristics. I love that about the evolution of languages. So here's an inscription in Vulgar Latin or Brit Latin. Memoria voteporix protectoris. Cool. Very, very sweet. I hope you can see it. Oh, you're gonna see it soon. Wait. Los skibidibus rissimus, yes. Skibidirisma. I see it now. Oh. I'm just taking up boosting my blood sugar now. Have you ever seen a spoonbill? I may have actually. When I was in Florida for summer school in 1999, a whole other universe, I think they showed us one in a nature park or something. Lucas Evangard says, in Brazil, we had a mixed language between Portuguese and Tupi-Guarani. It was called Língua Geral. Please look it up. I will. By the way, we and the publishers are this close to officially signing off a Brazilian Portuguese adaptation of All Tomorrows. So when it happens, I'll let everybody know. Okay, let's look up Língua Geral. 44 people watching. What a nice night. Oh, we didn't do the thing. I'm going to look up Língua Geral, and then we're going to do the thing. All I can find about lingua geral is that it existed, but I haven't. I'm not able to access any lexicons or phrases in it, so it will have to be that. But I'm sure it's a very, very cool language. My sister, young sister, was in love with a Brazilian, and she learned perfect Portuguese out of spite from Duolingo. In Latvia, many teenagers speak more English than their native Latvian. This has become a very big problem. That's very interesting. So there must be programs to basically stop the riz, to stop the riz. But I think in one generation it's going to be Anglo-Latvian. Same thing with Turkey. I mean, like, look, there's motherfuckers like me who habitually use English. But I think even I have a sort of lilted way of speaking it. In like the core memory formatting of the Turkish language must be kind of giving a certain tint to my English. I got a good vocabulary and like I know phrases because I read a lot, but yeah, that's that. I have this very eccentric accent, of course, which I'm always very proud of. It's nothing new, says Flowzone. Turkish is full of foreign words. Yes, I mean, Turkish people are very pragmatic people. The language is very pragmatic. It's full of Persian words and Arabic words. And actually, I have these two big Ottoman dictionaries, and they're full of the most lovely words. For example, the current word for bat is yarasa. But in the Ottoman language, a word for bat was hufashe, which is like you can like hear the bat flying in the word itself. Also, the Turkish name for geckos is Süleymancık, or just people just call them kertenkele or keler. But during Ottoman times, there was a word for geckos which was very cool. The word for gecko was sakangur. Sakangur. For me, somehow that paints the picture there. And yes, Turkish also had a lot of French loan words too during, especially in the 19th century. Lots of hearts coming. Thank you to whoever's pumping up the hearts. You are loved too. So during the late 1800s, we had words like calorifer, which means calorifier, the thing which adds calories, the heater. And then loudspeaker is called haut-parleur, which is high, like French for loudspeaker, basically. Even trains used to be called chemin de fer, which was, of course, after chemin de fer, railroads in French. Most well-known French Turkish word is camion. I did not know that. Baby Botfly says lolly kitty cats. Okay. Cryptosporidium says le mot trop bien. Blake Richardson and Jerry Caleb are praising my English. Thank you. You're very kind. Did you see the latest mammal season of Prehistoric Planet? No, I have to, but I haven't. In the Ottoman language, before oxygen was loaned from French, apparently the word was Müvellidül Humuza, which is a very cool word. Very, very cool word. Same thing with the names of planets. So Venus was called Zühre, which is also a woman's name, which is very cool. Now, a name for Venus is also Venera. And that's where we get the word venereal diseases from, you know? When you have too much plap, suddenly your plap is all like cheese and yellow, you have a venereal disease. Now, the same trick happens with the Turkish language too. So, the Turkish for venereal disease means Zührevi hastalık, which once again uses the root for Venus, Zühre. Ever read any European fiction where the Turks are the bad guys? Any memorable or weird portrayals? I read 1920s book about Lawrence of Arabia, and there the Turks were just like shadowy background enemies. Like sometimes they call them cruel or something, but nothing grim. There is an account by this guy though. Wait. Oh, it's one of the most insane books I've ever read. I need to find it, so wait. So this European guy gets captured by the Ottomans in the Battle of Nicopolis, Sırp Sındığı Savaşı. Then he becomes a slave in the court of Yıldırım Bayezid. And then Yıldırım Bayezid fights with Timur, the other great Turkic ruler. And then this European guy becomes Timur's slave. And they're all very bloodthirsty and like they are cruel in this like cold, steely way. The Harkonnens are cruel in the Dune movie. Like there's a section where not Bayezid but Timur, they take over a city in like what is now Central Asia or Persia, and the citizens kill Timur's soldiers by lying to them. So Timur wants to make an example, so he gathers every child and baby, and like so he gathers like 8,000 babies and children and like has them like pooled together in a valley or something. Then he rides his horse to trample them, but he's so cold-hearted that even his vassal says, my liege, shouldn't we? And then he says, ha, so you are not my follower. So everybody has to go ride over the babies, and it's really, really cruel. And I think this was a historic, like, attested fact, I think. So yeah, really dark stuff. But this isn't fiction. This is like maybe an embellished account. But it's weird because also the same book in some places praises the Turks. Says that they're very like single-minded, they're very disciplined, they're very kind to animals. But I don't think I've any read a properly Turkophobic thing written by a European. I would love to see like this also as a like Turkish person or whatever person. Don't be afraid to read things written by people who hate you. There's nothing to be scared about it. In fact, you'll find the errors in them. Did Ottoman planets have the same pattern? A warrior, a king, a woman. Maybe not. One of the planets, I think Jupiter, is called Mushteri, which means a guest. So I think it's based on how they move or just things, really. Westerners have a weird relationship to Turkey. Look at Orientalist paintings. I don't know. Orientalist art gets a bad rap, but some of the better works, they really like research all the architecture, research all the details, and like in terms of like painterly qualities, they're masterpieces. I mean, there's some like cheap French Orientalist art that's just like, a boy with a snake or something. But I like, as far as stereotypes go, I don't think they're mean. I think Orientalist art gets a bad rap for no reason or for little reason. Okay, Flowzone suggests I read Türkenbriefe by Martin Luther. Let's look it up. I don't think Orientalist art is bad. They just want via boost for Turkey. Yeah, actually, the Polish really had like a Turkomani. They like imitated the Ottomans' costumes and everything. Mm-mm-mm. So Martin Luther against the Turks published a booklet called Libellus de Ruti et Moribus Turcorum on the characters of the Turks. He actually praises the Turks, and like he said, the Germans drink excessively, the Turks drink in moderation. The Germans love luxurious clothing, the Turks are modest, do not swear oaths, do not build extravagantly. Although their marriages are a sham, Turkish patriarchs keep their wives in beautiful manners. They don't have extravagance, frivolity. As a negative aspect, Turks divorce too readily. They have polygamy and practice French and sodomitic unchastity. Okay. None of those things are wrong. But then he had a sermon against the Turks. And he says the Turks are the fourth beast of the apocalypse. He is a beast of the apocalypse, but we must still find peace under him, under his horns or something. So there's nothing bad or evil about this. It's just, I think, obviously, he uses the positive qualities of Turkish people, to say that even the infidel is like this, and the so-called Catholic Christians, look at them, and he's like turning the mirror to themselves. Okay. Lots of hearts coming in. All right. Thank you to whoever's sending the hearts. Mm-mm-mm. 52 Shark says, do you like the floor? I'm more of a ceiling person. Okay. We haven't done the thing. Okay. I usually do this in the beginning. So 1 hour and a half in. Let's have your answers. Where are you from? Where are you from? Where are you from? Let's hear it. Then I'll answer a few more questions. And then maybe we'll take a map trip or some shit again. Hello to 52 Shark in Germany. Hello to Blake in America. Hello to Carita in Mardin. Okay, great. I think you're the first listener who at least told me they're from Mardin. I've been there, lovely city. I hope you're in Yenişehir and not the touristy bits. Hello to dear Eleanor from the UK. Hello to Guitar Tapping Master from Latvia. Hello to Emcan K, a Turkish man in Germany. Hello to Valla in Gallipoli or Gelibolu, Turkey. Just Don't from Slovenia. Baby Botfly from the United States. Hammurabi is from the USA too. Charlie Kennedy from the States. Lux Aterna from Lithuania. Zesties from Manisa. KTC from Torino, studying there as a Turkish student. Maja Mladenovic from Berlin. Hilal from Mersin, the based southern part of Turkey. Barney Smith from the United States. Tamaltus Lunatic and Robotipi from Istanbul. Ünsal Hanoğlu from Hebdomon, okay. Cryptosporidium is from France. Flowzone from Germany. And Pavel Lepesic from Serbia. What a nice crowd of people we got here. Thank you all. There was a nice question. Just Don't says, Mr. Kozaman, do you think it's worth working or studying abroad, away from all your friends and family, for the sake of a better quality of life? Sometimes it may be. No, is it a better quality of life if you're far from your friends and family? But think of yourself 15, 20 years in the future. Also, where are you from? I think you just wrote, but I forgot. You're from Slovenia, okay. And where will you be working in for a better quality of life? Karita is from Kızıltepe. I'm glad you like Mardin. I think like 8 years ago, I toured all the Syrian places, Moravgan, Hah. It's a fantastic place. It's also like a city that's like a living city with like people and life and urban life. Regen Tauher is from Germany too. So anyway, this friend of ours, Just Don't, is from Slovenia, is probably being prodded by his or her family to work overseas. I don't know, just go there. I'm assuming you're young. Go there, take your chance, a couple of years. If you don't like it, you'll come back. But if you're older, like I get old, 40 years old, it's harder to do that. So go. Your friends and family aren't going to like magically disappear. M. John K says, normally I'm always silent here, but I wanted to say American Psycho is the most overrated movie. It ruined my night. I watched parts of it. I mean, you just see a psycho person. And when I saw bits and pieces from it, I was working a very stressful advertising job. And I could see like the toxic people at work in that psycho Patrick Bateman character. There's this part where they compare cards and he's jealous. Like there was one day in the office where like some fuckface wore a jacket and told everybody, "Oh, this jacket is worth like I don't know $1,000." And then another even like more miserable fuckface like actually got anxious and sad about it, like and got angry, saying, "How can he wear this jacket?" And like both of these people were like total bitches. Both of these people, yeah, like this was how small their lives and their ambitions were. And if you ask them, they would be alpha males, but they're like a bunch of fucking pansy. I mean, the stereotype they have for women, they're they're bitches. So, yeah. So, because I was exposed to those people at the time, the movie also fell flat on me too. If you're dealing with toxic people in life, I think American Psycho is not the best movie to watch. Good night to KTC in Mardin. I have to go now, says Blake Richardson. Thank you. Have a nice day. Hello to NS. Look how nice. People from Mardin are saying good night to people from the United States. It's a small community, but I love doing this. Okay, so Just Don't has updated their situation. Yes, they're in their 20s and will go to Canada. Okay, Canada is a bit of a pickle, huh? I wouldn't want to go there. But actually, no, if I had the magic opportunity to go to Canada, I would take it, then use it to launch incursions into the United States. See more of America. So I would say still go. Believe me, like what if 10 years down the line there's a big European war with Russia? Or as I believe it, what if the US and the UK decide to teach Germany a lesson and the Europeans a lesson? If that happens, you'll be better off at Canada, believe me. Moraine says, normally I don't read Turkish comments, but this is a special one. Are you sad that you're not as well known in Turkey? No, I'm actually so happy, so relieved. It's so fucking relaxing. Because, look, of course, I wouldn't complain if I was super famous in Turkey, but for all practical intents and purposes, Turkey is like a toxic, upside down, inverse, Drakaverse version of the real world out there. And I mean, look at all the famous internet personalities in Turkey, like Jahrein, Erlik, I don't know, or even my good friend Mert Günhan, who's like not one of the most famous, but still, like politics and power seep into everything in Turkey, and it's look for all the good qualities that Turkish people have. You know, they're pragmatic, they love animals. If there's an accident, 10 people will come running to help you, okay? But at the same time, they have some problematic social angles too. Psychiatrically wrong in certain places. So the less famous you are, the less exposed you are to that shit. So that is that. I probably would have like 10, 100 times more viewers if I was streaming in Turkish. Because the ideas I bring to the table are pretty original for a Turkish social square or a Turkish public discussion. But because of that, I think I could land in hot water. Mr. Kozman, did anybody stop you on the street because they recognized you? Yes, this has happened a lot. And I'm happy when it happens. Carita says, I'm trying to ignore every single input from the Turkish speaking internet. Maybe it's a kind of escapism. You're not wrong. When I was in my 20s and I had just come from studying in the States back to Turkey, I had the same sentiment. And I said, look, I can either lock in or join the dark side. Now, there's nothing wrong with being nice to people, of course, being social when you need to. But when it comes to feeding your mind, I always said, okay, you know what? I'm going to read in the English language from now on. Because when I was back there, I learned a lot of pretty fucking amazing things and nobody knows about them here. So I made a rule of it. Like I even take my notes in English, which may be a little weird, but still I think it really like locks you in. But at the same time, I never pretended I was like going to turn into an American or a British person just because I spoke English. But I just was like a deal I made with myself. I said, input is gonna be in English or in Turkish. If I'm reading like a Turkish author, of course I'm gonna read the Turkish original. But and the output is gonna be in English too. I'm gonna take a shot at it, I said. It worked out. Very nice. Richard Dawkins once said he doesn't stay at hotels or places that have a haunted reputation. Some of the most rational people have surprisingly superstitious beliefs. Do you hold any? Yeah, I do. Some of them are silly. Like if I have a travel arrangement during a day, let's say like tomorrow at 8, I have an airplane flight. I want to do nothing else that day. So I pack my bag and go. It's like as if there's like I can make one move that day, and that move has to be going to the airport. So that's one. As for others, I'm not scared of cemeteries or ghost places, to be honest. Like, if there's a haunted house, I will explore it, I will penetrate it. In fact, if you go to the other videos in my channel, I've got lots of urbexing or urban expedition videos where I explore like haunted houses or weird places. I'm not scared of that shit. But for example, if there's like a gypsy beggar or a roadside cripple and they look at me, and if I don't help them, I think it's going to be seen. So like if I meet those people, I always like either give a little money or pay respects, but like never snub them. That's the thing. Toxic Toon says, "Good evening. Good evening to you too." Other, for example, if I'm giving somebody a knife or a scissors, I never hand it out this way. I always hand it this way, or I leave it somewhere. I said, "Go pick it the fuck up," because I'm not gonna give that to you. My man believes in Huzur. Yes, Huzur. Okay, I have to tell you this story. So Huzur is a mystical servant of God. Okay, he can be anywhere, appear as anybody, and can travel faster than anybody can ever know. Okay, this is the reason why people are nice to beggars, because they're afraid that the beggar might be Hızır in disguise, just checking up on how these people are treating the less fortunate. So there's a guy named Ahmet Yüksel Özemre who was Turkey's chief commissioner for atomic energy. He was Turkey's greatest nuclear scientist and a great author. He's got lovely memoirs too. So in one of his memoirs, he legitimately says that one morning he was having some spiritual problems or some sort of depressive episode. So he couldn't sleep. And he went to a seaside park. An old man sat next to him. And they started talking. He said, "I'm in such a great pain that nobody knows." And the old man says, "Oh, son, I know, and God knows. Don't lose hope." But then the old man himself starts crying, and his eyes turn red. And he asks, "Who are you to know me so?" Because the old man's eyes turn red. And he tells Ahmet Yüksel Özemre things that only he knows. And he asks him, "Are you Hızır alayhi salam? Are you Hızır?" And the old man starts crying even more and says, "I can't tell you, son. I can't tell you. You have to know yourself." And then he has a moment. So that's an incredible story from this guy. I'm going to get some hot water refill on my coffee. What should I leave you to look at? Okay, here's a so I make these sheets to when I'm drawing commissioned art. I make these sheets to like mood boards, basically. So you're going to look at this while I go replace my hot water, okay? Do you take drawing requests? Yes, I do. But they're not cheap. DM me, find me online, email me, and we can talk about it. How much does your commissioned art cost? Well, depends on what you want, but a color illustration costs $150. Anyways, this is what I'm working on. Let's see if you can guess it. So I'll be right back. Okay, gang. Sorry, I forgot to put the dryer on, so I need 5 more minutes, okay? You're going to have to wait 5 more minutes. Because if I don't do the drying now, it's gonna bite my ass in the night. So I'll be right back. Oh. Yes, almost 2 hours in and 50 people watching. How nice. People are commenting on the creatures. Did you know what this was? If you didn't, I'm not gonna tell you. But if you follow me on Patreon, you can see it. Actually, 75% of all my new work only appears on Patreon now. That's creature illustrations, writings, plot leaks from the new book, and everything. So, yeah, good night to Shark, by the way. Everybody says good night. Guitar Tapping says, I have 2 tests tomorrow, but I don't care. Man, go do your tests, go study. Don't fail on my account. Onur T says, İyi geceler, this time from Kepez, Antalya, in Turkey's southern part. All right. Do you think there's any meaningful way to define what a religion is and what it isn't? It breaks down around the edges, huh? I mean, you could say taboos are religion, but there are taboos that are not religious. You could say religions are worldviews, but so is science. So maybe the best way to define these things are in terms of Venn diagrams, like a set of intersection, well, multiple sets of intersection. So there has to be taboos, there has to be a worldview, but there has to be rituals. And to a degree, a religion is also like what your parents and grandparents did before you. So a lot of intersecting sets. YouTube Joseph asks, could a cold-blooded amphibian or reptile fly? I think you asked me this question the last time, and I answered it saying probably yes, but it would not be a very active flyer. Robotipi says the world precious metals market is in a muddle these days. Gold and silver have all fallen. What do you think about copper being the new? No, look. There's only one precious metal, gold. It has stayed that way for thousands of years. Anything beyond that is commodities trading, I think. I always tell this to people. If you want to, like, not even an investment, but if you want to park your money somewhere safe, you're going to buy, if you have $3, $1 is you're going to buy gold with, because it's eternal. Like if there's a war, people turn to gold. $1 you're going to buy Swiss francs with, because they've survived both world wars. If you look at the progression of the Swiss franc, it's like one flat line. It never dips. Doesn't rise either, but never dips. Then $1, the rest, with that $1, you're going to buy a US dollar, because they're the world imperium now. That's not going to change in another 100 years, like it or not. So that's going to be that. The dollar can rise and fall, but ultimately, if you're living in a non-American country, it's always going to be stronger than yours. He knows everything. Trust him. Look, this is a pretty like no brain tip, huh? Gold, Swiss franc, dollar. That's it. Oh, Lucas Evangard, I think, knows what that drawing was, because he asks me, do you like the book West of Eden about living dinosaurs, or do you like its sequel, Return to Eden, more? My favorite is always the first one, West of Eden, which is a really nice book. One of my favorite YouTubers are metal smelting channels. Okay, never watched those, but yeah. Just a second. I'm going to share with you something fun if I can get it. Are you ready, gang? Wait. Okay, so 2.5 years ago, after an angry fight with my dad, after he squandered our family fortunes, I joined Investopedia. This is not an ad or anything like that, by the way. Okay? Investopedia has a stock market simulator. You can trade your companies, and like you have fictional money to spend on stocks, basically. Javier Andres says, fan from Mexico here, already have the book. Thank you. Well, my fans from Mexico and all over the world, now you're about to see a part of me that nobody else got to see. But I need confirmation that this is not this is not the black screen now. All of the gold trading shops in my town have Turkish names. A coincidence? No, they're all laundering money, or they're connected to the Turkish drug mob or the Kurdish drug mob. Who knows? Okay, look, this is Investopedia simulator. Basically, 2 years ago, they give you like 250 imaginary dollars. This is not real money. I don't have this much money. But they give you fake money and you can buy stocks, and then basically they measure how your stocks perform. So I have an annual return rate of 16.14. So this is a very well performing portfolio. And you can see the stocks that I've been buying. Basically, before the Russian war started, my father sold the legacy house that me and my family grew up in. Because now he was a rich man, he decided to go investing and almost lost a lot of money. At the same time, the Russia-Ukraine conflict was brewing. And I told him, look, you have to buy army military stock shit, okay? Come on. Buy. Or he, like, when he sold our legacy family house, he had so much money in the bank that he could actually, from Turkey, trade in the US stocks trading market, okay? So he bought a lot of pap. He lost some money. Then as soon as it broke even, he sold it back, and he promised never to touch that shit again. I had a huge fight with him just before the Russian war started. I was telling him, no, defense stocks, invest in defense. God damn it. I had simple predictions. The world was going to need guns, food, and energy. I just looked at the way the world was going. Guns, food, and energy. I didn't care about Palantir. I didn't give a fuck about Tesla, Google, Apple, all that shit. Boomer slop. Fucking morons. He's looking at he was buying some shit. I was like, what does this company know? Do you know? No. Why are you buying this shit? Oh, my rich friend told me. Because they're buying it in their Telegram group. Rich friend, by the way, owns a chain of meatball restaurants. He's getting financial advice from fucking meatball heads. Serves him right. I still get angry. I mean, no love lost, but still, I still get angry thinking about it. Makes me so fucking mad. Just makes me mad, chat. Anyways, I made my own strategy. Okay. And told him the world is going to need guns, food, and energy. So these are the stocks that I got in my imaginary game because I don't have that much money. So Lockheed Martin was a good performer. Look, don't take my word on this, but if you're interested in this kind of shit, you might look at the way the world is going. Try to think about what people are going to need and invest in the stocks of companies that make those, okay? Don't look at the shit that boomers are doing. Whatever. Anyway, so these are some good companies. Raytheon, Moog, this company makes armored cars and shit. General Dynamics, Cameco makes armored cars. Oshkosh makes tractors and armored cars. Also Toyota, just cars, Tyson Foods, they're doing good there because, they're food. Food. People always have to eat. This one was a big performer. It's a nuclear power corporation. And this stock performed incredibly well. It gained 500% in 2 years. Angry people make me feel bad. Okay, I'm not being mad at you. I'm being mad at myself, really. Intrepid Potash. This company makes fertilizer. This one, I think this was a food company too. Agriculture, yes. Oh, where am I? Oh, no, I don't want to go here. Huh. Back to my portfolio. Okay. So at CF Industries, this was food to nutrient, food and nutrition. NAPCO, this company makes, once again, like armored vehicles and stuff. So Exelon and Agcor, these are also food related. These are also food. FMC, I don't know. These didn't do well, but you got to take the bitter with the better. Yes, compulsory statement. This is not investment advice, okay? So anyways, look, that was my adventure trading imaginary stocks. I did quite a lot. I did really well with it, actually. I started with 100,000. Now in 1 year, I have 140. Okay, it's not much. But yeah, so this is that. Just want to share with you all. Thought on crypto, specifically Bitcoin, don't touch it. Never touch it. It is always, in long term, it's always a moron tax. Oh, my investor parents lost on that too. Bought Ethereum and lost it. Cryptocurrencies, they're either money laundering or an idiot tax. I would never touch it. Anyways, this is turning into a boys stream, but 60 people watching me. Yap about stocks. Just yap, yap, yap. And sorry for the performative rage there. It was only a little performative, but yeah, it was not my best self. Toyotas are used in every civil war. It's like the Kalashnikov of cars. I also imagine, people always will need cars. So let's get the most basic and reliable and solid car there is. So Toyota. Baby Boatfly says, I must be going to work now, but I'm wishing you all a good day, night, evening. Thanks, bro. You too. Thank you so much. By the way, tomorrow I'm getting a haircut. Look at this. Isn't investing gambling with extra steps, says Lucas. Very true. Look, very true. All I can say is you will never make money investing, but maybe you can preserve or slightly bolster it. But yeah. Have you played Five Nights at Freddy's, says YouTube Joseph. No, I haven't. I know it's pretty famous, but not my thing, really. KKTC says, okay, you had this question before. I was looking for it. Do you think that pursuing PhDs or work as a non-EU person in the USA or EU is dangerous now, especially if the world is in turmoil? Work in the United States, man. Europeans will care for the Europeans first. Plus, as the great philosophers in the rap band Cartel says, nasıl çalışsak, nasıl yapsak, nasıl kazansak, yabancıyız, onlar bunu unutmayacak. Sen Türksün, Almanyalı, sen Türksün, Almanyalı, sen Türksün, Almanyalı, bunu anla, bunu unutma. Look, if you have to choose between the USA and Europe, go to America as an engineer. Your skills will be respected there. Believe me, like it can get 10 times as worse. It's never going to be as bad as, let's face it, where you are now, nor it's never going, no, Europe's never going to be better than the USA. If you're an engineer, if you can work as an engineer, go to the United States. They still, I'm afraid to say, they still, you still get your labor's worth, you still get your values worth over there. It is still in most ways a meritocracy. If you go to Europe, you can also make a decent living, but you will never belong. Even I wouldn't belong if I was there. Some weird Türken Juden Mischling, they've never put me at peer level, except maybe in the Netherlands, because they're cool there. The rest of Europe, they just have too much cultural heritage to see people for what they're really worth. America, man, America. That's where the game's at, especially if you're an engineer. What is happening in the USA is now terrifying for me since you have experience there. Look, as cruel as this might sound, the ICE stuff will almost certainly impact the boulevard demographic. That is to say, people who are politically active or people who are from a very parochial background. You, as an engineer from a white passing country, will have no problems. Especially if you go to some place like Austin, Texas, Florida, or even like places like New Hampshire, Pennsylvania. Like, it's a huge country. If you know English, look, if you speak decent English and crack a few jokes and like basically relate to people in the same way you can relate to people in this chat, Americans will accept you. They say, okay, maybe he's from there or whatever, but it's okay. Go to Europe to travel, to appreciate their history. You can also go to the UK, but jobs are not easy there now. If you're going to Europe, aim for the Netherlands. So that is that. I hope this helps. I don't know. Let's check some messages. KKTC says thanks. In America, as long as you don't have like left-wing activist stuff on your Twitter or your Facebook or your Instagram, whatever, immigration checks your social media. So that's a very weird thing. So don't stand out too much there, but I don't think it's going to be a problem. Muffly says, my first time watching your stream. You probably get this question a lot, but which post-human species is your favorite? Much love. Can't wait to buy your All Tomorrow's book. I love the flying, like pterosapien people with wings, because being able to fly is cool. The local police in Turkey also check your social media. True. Everybody checks your social media now. Bug Eyes says, what's your favorite mythology and why? Mine is Hinduism. I don't have a favorite mythology. I think they're all great. I mean, look at the countries in terms of their future possibilities. Europe is trapped now, economically, defense wise, energy wise. Even if they were like the most humanitarian and democratic people, which they lie about being, they still would not be able to afford that much charity now. They have to take care of their own people first. Because they bet on Papa America to beat Russia for them. America didn't. They couldn't. Now the Ukraine conflict, they spent a lot of money on it. That's not going anywhere. That's draining them. Because they've antagonized Russia, they're not going to have as much energy anymore. Lot of trouble. So under those conditions, Europe is a hard place now. Jerry Caleb says, anyone who checks my social media is going to have to read my mini comics. That's the best way to use social media. Almost, what continent do you think will take the reins from Europe? I think it's still going to be Europe, but in the far future, Europe will be dominated more by countries like Poland, like the younger and slightly more Eastern companies. Poland, Czechia, maybe Hungary, maybe even Turkey. Turkey has a very young population and there's a lot of people here. European politicians are totally stuck in the 1990s. Our demography is shit and we expect to save our economy through important human labor. Probably. So a dominance shift from west to east. No, I think like there's still going to be like Germans and Dutch and French. But for example, like if you look at the way different countries are headed, Poland is really doing like industrializing. They have a young labor force, so they will play a more active role. But I don't think any other continent is going to eclipse Europe because Europe also has a lot of cultural legacy that you can't just rationalize that. Katie Say says, I was a leftist student in Turkey. Now I'm in Italy. I lived in Japan for 6 months. Everywhere is in fire. Every part of the world is on fire now. Japan and China, USA, European Union too. Okay, Flowzone asks a very, very nice question. Do you think Chinese style ideologies will become more dominant? Singapore being a Confucian capitalist country, like the PRC being a communist Confucian thing. I don't know about like the philosophical nitty gritty of ideologies, but it's clear to see that all over the world, it used to be a world of liberties. Now it's going to be a world of consequences. All over the world, I think a mild form of autocracy is going to be the norm. Maybe they'll pretend to base it on democratic rules, or they will pretend to base it on some neo-communist ideology like they do in China, or maybe it will be straight up like mob rule affecting people as a mild autocracy. That's the way in Turkey. Maybe even the United States could be counted as that. So because of these crises, countries are going to impose discipline on their populations, and like the laissez-faire social and economic world of the 1990s and the early 2000s, I don't think we're going to see that again in our lifetimes. I mean, there will still be like places where you'll be free to, drink, socialize, maybe even be hedonistic, but those are going to be limited places. Dreadender says, "Hi Cosman, been a while, I hope you're doing well." Yes, thank you. Gramsci said, "The old world is dead and the new one is waiting to be born. Now is the time of monsters," says KTC. Maybe not monsters. It's not a great part of human history. But it's a time of morons and fumbling, well-meaning idiots. But maybe that's what monsters always were. Who knows? Do you think we will see a world war or more localized conflicts like Europe or Asia? Let's do a poll, actually, okay? Let's do a goddamn poll. World War III. What do you think it's more likely to be? USA versus China, Taiwan, USA versus Russia, or a secret third option, which I think is scarily beginning to be more realistic. USA versus Europe. It sounds impossible, but stranger things have happened. Okay, let's do our World War poll. Which one of these big conflicts is going to be more likely to turn into a big hot war? Okay. People are voting. Big hot war, and USA versus China. Taiwan is leading now. USA versus Europe is unlikely, says Vakisetus. Considering how dependent Europe is on NATO to keep Putin from devouring the place, you might think so, but have you considered the possibility that Russia was a bugbear all along and NATO is there to keep Europe under control? France nuking Washington. Yet France has a nuclear doctrine that enables them to fire the first shot. Kertenkelar says, "My opinion is that no matter what, nothing ever happens." Maybe you're the most visionary person in all the audience. Guitar Tapping Master says, "I will leave now. Good night, guys." Yeah, It's a nice night. Huh? Warning shot doctrine is a really funny concept to me, says Lucas. The French, don't underestimate them. I love it when everybody says good night to a friend who's leaving. This is a nice thing about being a small stream, by the way. If there was hundreds of people, you wouldn't have this level of friendship. Do you think US will go to war with Europe over Greenland? No. I think they're going to take it. Or like get a concession for more bases or something. Look, the thing with world politics, I think, is that imagine there are these towers, okay? Doesn't matter if they like them or not. If you're this tower, you just can't let this guy go higher. You have to keep smacking him down every now and then. Same thing with lower forces. If this guy goes, pop, the green one hits him now. But maybe the big one says, no, you have to be good friends now. And he kind of gives him a little hand up. So this guy stands like this and goes, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada, bada. So this bastard has to keep playing with him. So the top tower is left alone. This is why I think, okay, I don't think the US is going to like invade Europe like some fucking battlefield game anytime soon. But that conflict may be more likely than a Russian one. Lucas Evangard says, proxy wars in a nutshell. I only meet my foreign friends thanks to your streams. Truly great. Someday, not too far, I think people are going to start dating because of this stream, and that's going to make me really happy. Okay, our poll has been concluded, and people say that the most likely big hot conflict of a potential third world war would be the USA versus China over Taiwan. 30 people voted. Followed by USA versus Russia and USA versus Europe. Today I went to the Mr. DIY, goddamn, everything you can imagine, Chinese store. Do you know these places? Mr. DIY. They got every fucking thing. And I got this neat pencil case. So this is a pet peeve. I get all my art supplies here, okay, in this box. But the side portion is unorganized. So I got like lots of pens, but you see the place with the green scissors? That's not organized. So I'm going to put this box there and get all the unorganized shit so they start spilling. That's my banal task for the night. So you're going to help me do it. Not going to lie, I hope to see the mainland Chinese flag over Taipei one day. Well, you would, but what would you tell to somebody whose father died in that war, or whose grandmother just, a drone fell on her head? Or I don't know, a kid who was in the wrong place in the wrong time. Or maybe the parents of a Chinese soldier who drowned on one of those boats. Pentocles says, Abi, I always wanted to expose some ugly truths about Turkey's ruling party when I leave the country, if I ever do. But I'm not sure it's important anymore. I think we used to think that Turkey had like a very dark autocracy. Now, I think many parts of the world are like that now. Time to abolish the nation state, says Jerry Khalifa. It's never going to happen. Like, a big war over Taiwan and stuff might happen. What I'm saying is, like, have some, I mean, oh, our good friend TK Sivgin is here. Dropping in late. What did I miss? A lot of stuff, like Third World War, a lot of shit. Now, pencil case organization time. God damn. I'm gonna put my pens here because they're the closest to my hand. Yes. All the pensons and the pencils and this one, that too, this guy too, Sharpie and yellow highlighter pen. This is actually a great graffiti pen, the like 50 caliber Posca. It's a great thing to draw with. I also have this pen, which is fading. It's a thick black line marker. What I like about this is it's got this secret ninja blade here. So there's like this plastic thing. It's actually a box cutter. So you can use this pen to just cut boxes and stuff. It's very effective. Can you huff the pens? I can, but not now. And I don't want to. I'm sorry. So I got the industrial Sharpie. It's super permanent. I can use it to draw over anything. Like so. As you can see, I'm getting a little sleepy, huh? Pantocles says, do you have any recommendations about deep sea creatures? Yes. It's called Deep Atlantic by Richard Ellis. It's a clade by clade review of creatures that live in the deep ocean. I really recommend it. And it's full of incredible fish art. I'm sharing a picture now. Deep Atlantic, here you go. By Richard Ellis. The title is here in the lower left corner. This is what the book looks like. It's just like weird fish after weird fish after weird fish, plus lots of very informative text. Can't go wrong with that one. Maybe city-states and empires will replace nation-states. Singapore, states like Singapore seem to be doing fine, says Flowzone. I don't know. Like, I think the news of nation-state death have been greatly exaggerated. I think those things still have a lot of life left in them. I mean, I think they will really easily survive the death of this world order because they have persistence. I mean, if anything else fails, at least, Okay, my pencil bit is ready. Now it's a perfect fit. Oh be. Look how fucking beautiful this works now. What exactly is an empire? Says Cauliflower. An empire is a big state that contains more than two large groups of distinct people. And I'm saying like large groups. So, it's not like, oh, there's like some weird minority in the city that's like 200 of them. No, you have to like 13 million A people, 8 million B people, 7 million C people, all under one flag. That's an empire. More than two. Then why is the nation state such a recent thing? In most of history, you had multi-ethnic empires. The nation state is okay. I have got the answer about this. Are you ready? The nation state exists, persists, and will persist because of technology. Now we have mass literacy, and it's a prerequisite for employment or citizenship. We got mass media, we got car travel, we got railroad travel, we got ship travel, we got industrial manufacturing. Under those conditions, prejudices travel so fast that empires cannot contain them anymore. It's a different thing if you have like 200,000 Bulgarians in the mountains that barely read and who only obey their local bishops. It's another thing if those 200,000 people work in a factory and read newspapers and get angry. Early 20th century technology, production, transport, literacy, social technologies too. As long as they persist, the nation state will too. Ultimately, it's a matter of technology. And I think the internet is going to make that even sharper now. Because, like, rage travels fast. Rage is the commodity of the realm when it comes to online literacy. So it's like class consciousness. No, it's not Marxist in that approach. I mean, when people become conscious, they become conscious of their tribe, their nation, never their class. Good night, my good friend Robotipi. I'm going to show you my OCD achievement. All my brushes, pens, and pencils, and now this side with the scissor, we laid it out. Before we had that shit, before we had that clean arrangement, everything was in these little shitty cups. And now, I don't need you anymore. It seems that countries are forming larger unions. India is very multi-ethnic and it has lasted for 90 years. China is also a big empire. China is very monotypic, no? India also, I think it's look, not every country can afford to be in India or a China. These are outliers. I'm happy to be proven wrong, but everything I know about countries and people suggests me that if you had a sense of nationhood or even a dream of nationhood in the early 20th century, it's now impossible to kill. I mean, you cannot kill some ideas of statehood who don't even have states, let alone nation states. So you at least you're not a neo-Ottoman. No, that's it's. I think like there are people who say like my personal friend Arsen Nishanyan is one actually. He said he thinks that a dream of Istanbul and a sort of more urbanely colored version of the Ottoman ideal. That is to say, everyone from the Balkans and the Middle East will converge on Istanbul as an ideal city, as a dream, as a place for shopping and like a beautiful place to be in or visit. And this dream of Istanbul will somehow precipitate a pragmatic polity around present day Turkey. But I don't think so. If you have this large artificial tofu dream empire, then every constituent group will simply cannibalize and extort it for their own dreams. Lucas Evangard says, do you know any Panturanists? I actually do. These people usually speak fire and fury on the keyboard. When you meet them in person, they're really quiet. All I can recommend to Panturanists is go try working with a corrupt Uzbek or Kazakh for 1 week, and then you'll see that dream falls apart pretty fast. Pantokli says, who is your favorite sci-fi author and why is it Stanislav Lem? It's a close shot. One of Stanislav Lem's books, Eden, is actually one of my favorite sci-fi books of all time, but my answer will have to be somebody like Olaf Stapledon, Arthur C. Clarke, or Paul Anderson. And they are in a whole other league. Why is Panturanism so spread among the Turkish youth? When you are young, especially when you are a young man, and when you are a young man in trying times, it is very natural to want to unite around a tradition who will destroy a lot of people who are despicable. Now, many pan-Turanist or like Turkish nationalist people have parents who were from the rural parts of Turkey and who were conservative, sort of Islamist aligned people. Maybe almost in all cases, the mom wore a headscarf, but the father was like, I don't know, working with the municipality or a small trader or I don't know, a shop owner or something. So now that sort of tradition doesn't cut it for them anymore for a few reasons. Number one, it's not modern, it's a bit crusty and a bit cringe. Number two, young people don't want to subject themselves to that sort of restraint that came along with Islamic conservatism. I mean, they want to appear, they don't want to be degenerates, but they want to appear modern, secular looking, or secular presenting, at, let us say that much. And in the current age, it is only natural for them to demonize outsiders. So you got the perfect mix: generational rebellion, a desire to be seen as urbane and sophisticated, and an axe swing to the necks of enemies, imaginary or otherwise. I thought you were talking about the Tartarian Empire from maybe. We had a friend here who was asking. Zian Sayad says, any sci-fi book recommendations? Yes, we were just talking about it. So Stanislav Lem, Eden. I'm going to show it on the screen now. My good friend, go get this book. If you hadn't noticed, I'm trying to tone down the parochial discussions with some more universal sci-fi talk. Almost 3 hours. Look, I wanted to do a map thing tonight, but looks like we had our fun, huh? This one is a great book. It's one of the strangest head trips you'll ever take. It's a very potent political allegory, and it's a book like no other. Some chatter in the background about oh, some chatter in the background about Latin America. A friend whose name is spelt in Cyrillic letters asks, thank you for all tomorrows, Mr. Kozeman. You knowing your love for all things weird, have you ever what a Roman Empire era cinema might look like? That's a very, very good question. Maybe it would be like shadow puppets, but far more sophisticated. So each scene might be a different puppet, or like a puppet set. So, shadow theater, right? It's called Karagöz. Stuff like this, basically. Stuff like this, basically. So imagine the Romans having a version of this, but with far more sophisticated puppets, maybe human-sized puppets, and loads more special effects, pyrotechnics in the background. I think that would be a Roman antique cinema. Now, there's talk about somebody named Henry Jesionica and his antique cinema project, but I don't know about that. That looks like a cool concept. I mean, yeah, they could imagine like them having like puppets made out of colored glass, even like the Romans were a pretty sophisticated bunch. Imagine there'd be a ghost, but it's like a silk scarf that drifts in the air. Carita says, where do you get inspiring references for drawing when you feel empty? You just look out of a window and draw, man. Not even being hyperbolic. Like you can draw people as they walk along. That's a great exercise. Don't look for inspiration in algorithmic venues because they're really tiring after a while. They drain you. Speaking of draining, I'm a bit tired too. It's been nearly 3 hours. And soon I will go to bed. But this was great hanging out with you. I wanted to do a Google Maps tour again, but we didn't have time. Towards the end of this night, we were a bit too much on the boyish side, stock advice, World War III, pan-Turanism, but it happens. And to all the ladies watching, sorry for being too yappy sometimes. Milady Cass says, good night. Well, good night to you all. Good night, Lucas. Good night, Flow Zone. Good night, Carita. Good night, Ivan. 46 people watching. How nice. Good night, Pantocles. Good night, Kantar Kertenkelar. Good night, Nedim. Do you want to make a girly stream next? No, but I also want to avoid descending into this sort of this gutters of banter that real world issues. So that's why I kind of wanted to explore a town and look at the strange and funny buildings. Next time. Good night, Bakara. Good night, Zian Sayad. Good night, KTC. Good night, Joseph Joestar. Good night, Eleanor. Cheers. And if you're on the replay, gang, good night to you too, or good day, wherever you are. Good night, Onur. Good night, Toxic Tune. Yeah, tomorrow I'm getting a haircut for sure. Look at this. It's greasy and long. Good night, Jay Caleb. What a pleasant evening. And if you watch this far, please leave a comment. Say I watched it all the way. Say I watched it all the way. I watched it all the way. This is going to make me burp like a motherfucker. Eleanor says, this was a very fun stream as always. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed my parasocial ramblings. Oh, let's finish what's left of the coffee too. Good night, Sunny Tiger. Good night, Zapniak. I haven't seen you commenting before. I've been working on my own speculative project since I was a child. Love seeing a like-minded person. Thank you. Good night to the land down under. Tick tick tick tick tick.